Hello and welcome. In this video, I'll be talking about how to write an academic paper. It can be especially daunting when you've never had to write one before. You might be asked to write one as an undergraduate student, or even just coming across it for the first time during your master's. But don't worry, I've been through the deep end. I studied a year as an English teacher in university, in which we wrote plentiful research essays, and then I transferred my degree to English language and literature, writing even more essays in various academic formats. This video will be an introduction and will focus primarily on how to get around to starting an essay. Right, when it comes to writing an academic essay, sometimes whether you're lucky or if you view it as an unlucky nature, you may be given the liberty of choosing your topic within the subject realm. Now, this is the reason why I advise you to make sure you know what you're going to talk about and choose a topic, at least have a rough idea. I would advise you, if you don't know, for example, you're studying literature and you're not sure, and you have studied 16th century to 17th and the 18th, and you're not sure what you want to do, and you have a couple of ideas, write them down, bullet point them, and give yourself a couple of days of research and see how you feel, see whether or not you can write about it. And the reason why I say this, as from experience, writing thousands of essays probably, is that you really need to know that you can talk about this, because if you are passionate about this, and that means you can actually write an essay and you will enjoy the process despite it being stressful in itself, because writing an essay is stressful. Some people are better at expressing their emotions and the way they feel in written form, so they may struggle actually if you have a word count and limit. For example, they ask you to write a 2,000 word essay or more or less. Some people actually struggle with cutting down the word count. I will come to the word count later on, but I want to touch upon the main idea of making sure that you know how to go about this essay is, while other people, they're not really good at writing and they're better at talking. And I'm one of those people. I am good at talking about the subjects I'm passionate about. So what I find it is really helpful is that I make sure I can talk about it. And sometimes I voice record. I record myself when I'm talking, or I talk it with a friend. And, that really helps me process my ideas, and I'm able to bullet point and then come to a conclusion which topic I'm better off with when I'm going to write an essay. Now, for example, we've chosen Pride and Prejudice here, and, that's something I'm passionate about, and I have the liberty, and yay, and talks about the word count. Now, one thing is, I'll go into further detail in another video, but be careful of going off topic. So we've made the topic, we've, whittled it down to character analysis in the book Pride and Prejudice. And we've done point. What we do, we have to write, obviously, a couple of paragraphs in order to make an essay. And this is called PEEL for short. So it stands for point, evidence, explain, and then you link back to the question, and that is an entire paragraph. You don't have to necessarily abide by this for every paragraph, but it definitely really helps you make sure that you stay in line. So you're like, okay, I'm writing about Mr. Darcy and why he deserved Lizzie, and I'm writing a character, like the reason, an example, like he did this, he apologized, and then I link back to the question. And then this is the reason why Mr. Darcy deserves Elizabeth. This is this example is very basic, but we'll go into that in further detail later. Now, I could say that as a thesis statement, so crucial, after you've got to the topic, you've got the question, we can highlight that. We've got the question, now we have to write our thesis statement. I would really recommend writing a thesis statement, and then you can really go off from there, because your thesis statement is essentially the main idea of the essay. You're going to be arguing your point. You're going to say, I believe Mr. Darcy deserved Elizabeth. Well, maybe someone else is out there saying, no, Mr. Darcy doesn't deserve Elizabeth. You could think about the opposite as well. You could think about, why would someone say Mr. Darcy doesn't? You could try and create an argument in that sense to, underline why you are right, if that makes sense. So this is really basic, but in this essay I will explore the various reasons why Mr. Darcy proves to be worthy of Elizabeth. Or, for example, we can explore a different topic, not literature, and let's say, what do uniforms in school, should they be made compulsory? Okay, this is the second option, and I would write a thesis statement for this, right? This is, you could think about, uniforms, should they be compulsory or not? And I would say that this essay argues that uniforms should be enforced. I've already, put in what I think. It should be enforced in schools as they form, and explain, as they form discipline, create a sense of identity, and prevent distractions. And then I go into in further detail, which you'll see in exemplar essays that I will go through. Now, once you have your thesis statement out there, it makes it a lot more easier to start bullet pointing and creating an outline for your essay. And finally, you create an outline for your essay. So you've got the rough idea, you've gone through your options that you've maybe either given or you've chosen yourself, and you thought, right, I can write a lot about this, and you've gone through your articles. I would recommend you first brainstorm, write the question, and then go about your thesis and how you would go about it, bullet point, however feels easier for you. Make sure you read the articles, or at least skim through them, and know that, okay, this person's article will support my argument, and support my statement, support my thesis, and this is a hellhole of academia, but make sure you always write down the pages. Honestly, you're going to really regret if you don't remember who you were citing when you're writing your essay, because you're going to have the specifics. You don't want plagiarism, and if you don't cite people properly, if you don't have your references properly, you're going to fall into plagiarism. So make sure that when you are reading and going through that whole process of researching, make sure you write down the pages and know who the and actually the authors as well, author or authors, who were writing that article, and make sure you have it there in the corner. And if you don't use it in your essay, good on you, but you can just cut them out, easy peasy. I will go into more detail on referencing and the layout of an essay, but this is the rough basis that I would go for when I start an essay. And as I said, sometimes you might not have a limitation on even the articles that you're meant to be referencing. Sometimes some, tutors or lecturers prefer a lot of references, while some, and they put a limitation. And if you don't, you're full, it's a free for all, then I would recommend really putting a limitation to yourself, because if you don't limit yourself, it sounds a bit ironic, but if you don't, you are going to be a bit overwhelmed with everything. So just make your target, say, okay, for example, 6 articles, okay, and 3 or 4 supporting, 3 or 4 articles supporting my thesis, while 3 or even 2, I would say 3, just if it depends on the word count, 3 articles going against it. So this is what I would do. I hope this helps. Thank you for listening.